The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on July 7th, 2026.
It's time for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Other perspectives and programming on this station do not necessarily reflect the views, values, or positions of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, which is an independent and inclusive organization serving Maui businesses and the community since 1910. Now here's your host, the Maui Chamber of Commerce President, Pamela Tumpop. Good morning, Pam. How are you today?
I am excellent, Gary. But a little scratchy throat, but other than that, I am excellent. How are you today?
I'm doing the same. We're both excellent today.
Well, at least it's a bright and sunny day.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah, it is. Looks like you guys might be getting a little rain up there in Pukalani right now, huh?
Not yet.
Oh.
At least not where I'm sitting. But that changes in any moment.
Yes, minute to minute.
Minute to minute, and we are grateful for the rain, I will tell you.
Yes.
Love to see everything green and bright. Yeah, well, thank you so much for all you do for our show. I know you guys are working to get all the stations up and running fully,
Yes.
and in an island state with equipment that has to come in from the mainland, that can be challenging. So, but we're really appreciative of everything you're doing, and thank you, and to our listeners. Thank you for bearing with us. I know, there's been some changes in where you can hear us and changes in, when you can hear us, but we just really appreciate the work that's being done by the station to get everything back on fully, and know that the team is working really hard on that. So this morning, I wanted to share something with you. I had an opportunity to do an interview yesterday that kind of took me to a little bit of an overview about the chamber, a little bit about what we do, but also a little bit about why we do it. And so I wanted to share some key things with you that really kind of extrapolate on what was shared yesterday, because that was an interview that we were kind of talking about broadband, and broadband's important, and I want to talk about that as well. But I want to really get to the crux of what we do at the Maui Chamber of Commerce and why we do it and what our key focuses are. And for those who are regular listeners, you're gonna resonate with this because you hear me talk about it on a regular basis. But I want to go a little bit deeper into something that's really critical and critically important, because to do the things that we need done in our community, we need to do that on the backbone of infrastructure. And so we need to first invest in infrastructure to do a lot of the things that we work on every day. It is something that we advocate for all the time. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Chamber. Our intro mentions that we were started in 1910. We have been serving the community for a very long time. Obviously, I wasn't serving since 1910, but we've had many tremendous leaders from Maui that have served the Maui Chamber of Commerce for a very long time. And really, our mission is very simple. We work to strengthen Maui County's economy, to improve our quality of life for all of our residents, and helping businesses succeed. And we support businesses of every size through advocacy, business education, networking, economic development programs, workforce initiatives, disaster preparedness, and strong community partners. And in an island county, in an island state, you have to have strong partners. We all have to be here working together to make the strides needed to move us forward, especially after we've gone through really tough times where disasters have moved us backwards. And so it's really important that we work together on long-term issues: housing, infrastructure, economic diversification, and healthy businesses, because healthy businesses create healthy communities. So at the end of the day, when our businesses thrive, our families thrive, our communities thrive, and Maui is stronger for everyone. So how do we do that? Well, at the Maui Chamber of Commerce, we work with Maui's very diverse business community. We have businesses that have served, this community for generations through local families, alongside of new and emerging entrepreneurs. We are constantly looking at new opportunities in technology, agriculture, healthcare, manufacturing, tourism, renewable energy, and many more. Because for me, and I think for all of us really, what makes Maui special and really unique and different is that spirit of aloha, that spirit of collaboration. Here, businesses are generally wanting to work together, help each other, see each other succeed, right? We lift the boat up and we bring people along to make Maui and Maui County a better place. And so we do that through, again, our programs, the networking, the advocacy, the education, leadership development, and partnerships. We're working constantly to make connections and referrals among members and resources. We help people address challenges, excuse me, with government offices and services to help solve core challenges. And we're their advocate when they fear retaliation. And it's sad to say that people do on many different levels, working with government or different agencies. There are many times when they want to come under a chamber umbrella when they don't want their company mentioned. But they want to provide solutions for the problems that they're facing or the challenges they're facing. And we share their voice. We do many things anonymously for that reason, yet we have the breadth of them sharing with us so we can share details and things to work with government, different agencies on solutions. And we also work with members directly on one-on-one. We often refer them to other members. We refer them to valuable services and places they can get help, but many times they need more direct help. And I will help counsel them to help them get through some of those obstacles and meet their needs at that time. So everything we do is about connecting through businesses, through our community, building resources and relationships to help them innovate, grow, and build a stronger future for Maui, right? Because when our businesses thrive, that raises the tide that we all can thrive. So you've heard me say before, if you're a listener of this, right, that our goal is to keep our ohana at home, right? And that means we need a vibrant community, we need a vibrant business sector, and we need housing, which is something we are continuously working on. I say these days, and I've been saying it since 2019. We did a housing summit in 2017. We did a housing summit in 2019. And really after 2019 and doing some projections to show that our median home price, and I used a very low interest rate because we were just exploring this concept when people said we can't look into the future. It's not possible for all these different reasons. And I said, if we can't look into the future, then how do we work for solutions for that future if we can't get a grasp on what the challenges are? So we did a projection, and we know housing is going to continue to rise. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. But overall, if you look at trends, even a very low interest rate, which is wrong, which means that the numbers I'm going to share with you are going to be even greater than that, right? We projected in 2019 that within 10 years, our median home price would be median. That's the average of the home price would be over $1.2 million. And we hit that. Now it goes up and down, but we also predicted in the next 20 years and found that by 2042, that median home price will be over $2 million. Okay, that's not attainable for most families. It's simply not. So we have to come up with really creative solutions. And at the Chamber, we focus on economic development and diversification as one of those important solutions, right? We advocate for this all of the time because it needs to happen to create the conditions that allow businesses and industries to survive, for our workers to have meaningful jobs. We are constantly looking at higher paying jobs given our high cost of living in Hawaii. And, we have relied heavily on tourism. And tourism will always remain an important pillar in our economy. And of course, we're always looking at regenerative tourism, right? How can we build a system that is most attuned to our quality of life while still having tourism and greeting our guests and sharing our aloha and having them love this place so they want to be a part of our solution? And we've been doing this for the Chamber's been doing this, since 1910. But I've been doing this now for 20 years. And so I've gotten to see a lot of patterns. I've gotten to see a lot of the different proposals from year to year, from decade to decade. And tourism is going to be a big part of our solution. And while right now we're too heavily reliant on that, which creates tremendous vulnerability, we have been working to leverage tourism for agriculture, technology, renewable energy. We have been working on healthcare. We've been working on manufacturing, food production, film, education of our youth to look into new opportunities, remote work opportunities. But we're looking at how we grow here, how we invest here. And to do all of that, we have to work on the infrastructure to allow those industries to exist. And statewide, we are one of the least business-friendly states in the nation. So it's even harder to attract businesses and new opportunities in diverse fields that our children are excited about, maybe want to come home for, that might give them higher paying wages to be able to see attainable housing. So it's really important that we look at infrastructure to do this. And the other challenges, right? We need water. We need space for businesses to invest. We need space for housing, right? We have to look at expanding transportation systems to bring goods and services in for both housing and businesses. We don't have all the raw materials we need to build either of those. So if we're talking the economy and housing, we have to expand transportation. We just saw Young Brothers take another 3% increase July 1st on the 25.75% increase they got January 1st. We have to look at how we do things differently to sustain our community. We need to, really expand and work with our technology companies right now. Because, excuse me, if you can hear that beeping, I apologize. Somebody is trying to get in on my phone, but I'm going to continue, and it should stop any second now. We need to invest in new technologies, right? Because that is giving us new solutions, not only in housing materials that are more sustainable, more fire resistant, water resistant. We need to look at modernizing our utilities, and including, expansion into reliable broadband and communications and more resilient infrastructure. And, it's not just concrete and pipes as we build these things. And we're going to talk about different areas because every dollar invested in roads, water systems, wastewater treatment, broadband, electrical reliability, ports, airports, resiliency creates the foundation for building the homes we need, for investing in economic diversification, for sustaining and growing businesses that create long-term, jobs that we can count on that will be more fruitful and sustain our families. And these are long-term investments, right? But these are investments that will help improve wages, help create more jobs, help create higher paying jobs. And so all of this, and in new technology and broadband, that also supports our economy. But we need all of the important infrastructure, right? Economic diversification, can seem like an abstract idea, and there's so many different ways that we can diversify our economy. So it takes direct and thoughtful planning. We need to look at strategic investments. We need to look at public and private partnerships. We need to work together towards a common vision. And that's what the Chamber has been trying to do and continues to try and do every day, advocating on creating an environment for businesses and residents to thrive, where entrepreneurs can innovate, where families feel secure, where future industries can choose Maui and be prepared for us, and we can be prepared for them because we're choosing the type of industries we want here that are aligned with our vision, with our culture, with the kinds of work our youth want to do that they want to come home for. And of course, all of this requires housing. Housing is our single greatest challenge facing our people and our workforce today. It affects every aspect of our life, our quality of life, and our economy. and to build more homes, which we're all screaming for. And of course, we say homes, and homes, has a connotation of single family homes. And, most of us aspire to that. But, our youth today are feeling like, well, we want a home and we want to get in a home and we want them to get in a home. But most of us didn't start out that way, right? Most of us had to start out with maybe in an apartment, right? Or maybe we lived with family and saved up money until we could move out on our own into a home. But most started with transition. And transition often meant different types of housing, duplexes or apartments or things that leveraged our footprint in terms of infrastructure and land use to house more people in a footprint until people were able to build up the wealth to move out and move up if they so choose, because they were able to save resources without having that higher in cost, and then to get the home of their dreams, hopefully. And to work up to that, because that's the goal, right? Is to have the lifestyle we want and to be able to work up to that. But before we can build a single home, we have to have adequate water, waste treatment, roads, drainage, electrical capacity. We need broader planning so we have access to schools and parks. And this takes, thoughtful planning community by community, connected across our island, connected across our county, connected across our state. So without these foundational investments, even projects that have community support can sit for years waiting for infrastructure capacity. Okay. And we all see it. For those of us who, work with the county council and the mayor's office and work, across our state with the statewide divisions and the departments and the governor, and are involved in legislative activity, we get to see it a lot because we're on the front lines fighting for this every day, right? And when we have delays, imagine if you, let's go to a situation, for example, after the wildfires, where businesses had loans, right? They had loans on maybe their land, on their business building, on their operations, and after the fires, after devastation, they're paying for those loans when they don't have the income to do it. And that means it drives up costs. So they're paying for higher costs when they really can't move forward. So, if somebody owns land and wants to develop that land and build a house, and their permits are delayed, but they're still paying on the loan on the land in the hope that they can then build, and then over time their costs are going to go down because they've made the investment in building their house. Right? And then they'll eventually just have that one cost. But in the meantime, if they can't move into the house, and they might still be paying rent while they're waiting to build this house, but it's delayed because the permitting's delayed, you can see how that snowballs. And it snowballs to varying degrees based on the size and scope of the project. So without the infrastructure, right, it slows production, it drives up costs, and ultimately, it makes housing even less affordable, which is why we have been saying we've got to prioritize housing and we've got to move forward with it quick. And costs have been rising, especially with disasters across the nation, because building materials are going up just in general. Then you add things like tariffs, and it just is continuing to snowball. So we have to think long term. We have to work on infrastructure planning that looks decades ahead rather than constantly trying to catch up. We need coordinated investments that prepare Maui people for housing that they desperately need. We need to prepare for responsible growth and preserve what makes our island so special. And we really need coordinated efforts. When infrastructure is planned well, housing becomes more attainable. Businesses see their workforce able to stay on island, and we've got a stronger workforce. It gives families greater stability. Young people have opportunities to remain here where they want to remain instead of leaving simply because they can't afford to live in the community they love. And often, when our youth buy houses somewhere else, even if they sell that house and want to move home to Maui again, our housing prices are going to continue to rise in a big way over time. They often can't afford to come back. So housing isn't just a construction issue, it's an infrastructure issue. And as we invest in that infrastructure, it's one of the smartest long-term investments our community can make. We also have to prepare for our recovery and move this forward quickly. You know, it's often thought of as rebuilding what was lost. But true recovery is about building something stronger than what existed before. And following the Lahaina wildfires, our community has showed extraordinary resilience. Businesses, nonprofits, government agencies, volunteers, neighbors came together, and families worked together hand in hand in remarkable ways. And as we look towards our long-term recovery, we have an opportunity, in fact, a responsibility to build back smarter, to not allow systems that allowed the wildfires to trap us in many ways. For example, the cars that were stuck on the roads that prevented exits. We need to look at how we address parking on our roads, build back in ways that we've got more off-street parking. We all have more cars than we used to before. We need to look at these things and recognize it's time to revisit systems and build infrastructure that is going to give us resiliency. We need to look at modern water systems, reliable communication, broadband connectivity, transportation improvements, electrical reliability, emergency preparedness, wastewater capacity, right? Safe water all the time, roadways that improve access and evacuation. These investments don't just help during disasters. They strengthen our overall community and economy every single day because they reduce risk. They improve our quality of life. They make Maui more competitive. They help our homeowners and businesses recover faster after future emergencies. So recovery isn't measured by simply replacing buildings. Recovery is measured by whether future generations inherit a stronger community that is stronger than the one we have today. And isn't that the goal we all have for our future and our children? Right? Aren't we all working so hard to build a better future for them? That's why the Chamber continues to advocate for strategic investments that strengthen both our economy and our resiliency, right? Because recovery and resilience go hand in hand. The stronger our infrastructure becomes, the stronger Maui becomes, right? And we have to plan for our future growth. One lesson we've learned over the years is that communities are either planning for growth or they're reacting to it. And when we're simply reacting to it, we're in a crisis. And then people worry about compromises. They worry about our future, our environment, right? They want to have all these things, but in a crisis, we're looking for urgent solutions. That's not the best way to plan. We should always plan ahead. Maui Chamber of Commerce strongly believes in planning ahead. That's why we did 2 housing conferences in 2017 and in 2019, because around there was some studies done, but they didn't really come out later until about 2016, where people were going, look at this trend and look at this rising crisis in housing. And it's just getting worse. And over the years, Maui County in the earlier days built more housing. They built more houses per 1,000 residents than we have done for a very long time, which means we weren't keeping up with a growing community and the growing trend and need for housing. So we really have to work together to make thoughtful decisions before the challenges become a crisis, right? We know our population trends. We know our median home price trends. You know, and many people didn't believe it when we first started these projections, but now they're seeing it, right? We had to look for a way to see the trends. Otherwise, how do we plan for a future if we're not looking into the future? So we are, looking at our, future workforce trends. Many in construction, we have people who've been in construction for a long time. And many of those people are, retiring, aging out. We have to look at our workforce trends. And we are in many ways, we're doing a great job in looking at new technology and workforce trends for those workers. But we want them to work here, not on the continent. We want them to work here and come home. And they want to come home in many cases. But can they? Not if they can't afford housing, not if they can't find jobs to help support the lifestyle they're hoping for. We have to anticipate our housing demand. We have to evaluate transportation problems. We need to assess water availability. This is paramount, right? Because water is needed for life, not just building, for life. We have to make smarter decisions that benefit everybody. We have to look and leverage our new technology that helps us make smarter decisions, helps us look at interconnectedness between systems, right? Because good planning protects our environment, it protects our quality of life, it protects our economy. It gives people confidence in investing in a home, in investing in a business, in investing in a long-term vision. Planning also helps us prioritize infrastructure investments so that we're making strategic decisions instead of responding to emergencies, one project at a time. So whether it's roads, water systems, broadband, wastewater treatment, parks, schools, public facilities, new businesses, these investments all have to work together to be part of one coordinated vision. So planning is one of the greatest gifts that we can leave for future generations. The decisions we make today shape Maui for decades to come. So that's why we are continuing to work in these areas. So I also want to share a little bit about broadband in these areas, because I was asked to the other day, asked to share a little bit about the Chamber, but also our changing environment in broadband. And I've worked in technology for a good part of my life. I used to work at the Research and Technology Park in Kihei and did a lot of work in emerging and new technologies back then. And really, reliable high-speed broadband has become essential infrastructure these days, just like our roads, our harbors, our airport. It requires, not requires, we require it, but through broadband, it creates new opportunities. It allows our families to better connect. It allows businesses to compete locally and globally. It supports new entrepreneurs. It strengthens cybersecurity. It expands telehealth and education. It opens doors to new technologies that improve productivity and customer service. And, people are making big investments in this right now. Hawaiiusa is one of the companies, but it's many public and private partnerships coming together like this that help create the foundation for innovation, economic diversification, and our long-term resilience, right? Think about, again, the kinds of services in these new homes that we're talking about building that have, are fiber-enabled. This technology is continuing to evolve, but reliable connectivity ensures Maui families and businesses have the tools they need to compete and grow. And so we're really excited about this. Again, I've worked in tech for a long time. We were one of the first groups out in Kihei with the advent of the supercomputer to have some of the best high-speed connectivity, especially having cables underwater to create that cable connectivity in an island state was truly remarkable. And we've been very blessed to have that. And yet in our remote islands, we need more connectivity than ever before, right? We need it for every industry: agriculture, hospitality, retail, restaurants, construction, professional services. Everybody is working to embrace e-commerce, digital marketing, online scheduling, cloud-based systems, automation, using artificial intelligence. More and more people are getting into it. And there's some things we have to look at in artificial intelligence and some ground rules. We have to look at some ground rules and legislation to protect our children, right? But the technology is moving, and it's not really whether we adapt to or adopt technology. We know that it's going to be moving forward, and it's how quickly can we acknowledge and utilize the tools, put in appropriate protections, and derive the greatest value from that. And so that's where, the Chamber, we're working on connecting businesses, we're working with trusted partners, we're working on opportunities, and we're trying to build systems where we learn from each other and use technology to make businesses, our community, our infrastructure, our planning more efficient. But we also recognize that the technology is not going to replace the creativity, the relationships, and the aloha that define our community and doing business on Maui, right? So that's one of the reasons we continue to constantly work with government, businesses, nonprofits, and community leaders. We're always trying to engage in thoughtful planning and balance with environmental stewardship, economic opportunity, cultural preservation, and community well-being. Because this is a time when, we have to all work together. This is critical to our community. And so we work with government and all of these leaders, as I mentioned, the nonprofits, the community leaders, for that thoughtful planning. It's something that we have to continue to do. And we have to continue to invest in our economic diversification, our housing, our recovery, our resilience, infrastructure, and planning. Because planning is critical to our economic diversification, our housing, our recovery, our resilience. And we need forward-thinking planning. Yes, right now we've had a lot of emergency planning. And, even experts like FEMA, they came to Maui County and realized, this is very different from working on the continent and working in connected states and, shipping things in and getting things where needed on time in less cost. They weren't familiar with all of our housing crisis and the issues that we had. And so planning has to be on the forefront because it takes planning for all the other things we need, right? We're all concerned. We're all concerned, and all of these issues are connected. Housing depends on infrastructure. Economic diversification and resiliency depends on infrastructure. Recovery depends on infrastructure. Broadband requires infrastructure. Water is infrastructure. Sewer systems are infrastructure. Roads are infrastructure. Electrical systems are infrastructure. Emergency communications are infrastructure, right? You get the picture. Sustaining our life requires infrastructure. And all of that requires thoughtful long-term planning. Planning is the roadmap that brings it all together. These aren't simply construction projects, right? These are strategic investments in Maui's future. They're investments in our families, our children, our workforce, our businesses, and in the kind of community we want to leave for future generations. We want to be proud of what we leave for future generations, right? It's so important. That's the goal. That's what we want. And the Chamber has always believed that solving these complex challenges requires collaboration. Government can't do it alone. Businesses can't do it alone. Our nonprofit communities can't do it alone. Our residents can't do it alone. But we have to see how together, working towards a shared vision, we can build infrastructure that supports attainable housing, strengthens our communities, creates resiliency, improves our environment, creates a future with opportunities for everyone that calls Maui home, and can leave a legacy that we're proud of for our children. So when we talk about, and when I say, and I mean when I say that our priorities at the Maui Chamber of Commerce, the best way we can also, yes, we are a business organization, but the best way we can support businesses also is really about the best way to support our community, right? It's to support our highest priorities. And that planning and infrastructure is what gets us to our highest priorities, which is housing and economic development and diversity, or economic development, diversity, and housing. depending on the moment. But every day, that moment happens in our life at the Maui Chamber of Commerce every day. And every road improved, every water line expanded, every broadband connection installed, every sewer upgrade completed, every thoughtful plan implemented, right? That helps us prevent situations into the future that might take us backwards. All of those things become building blocks towards a stronger, more resilient Maui. That's the future we're working toward. That's the future we hope everybody in Maui County wants to work for, because that's a future worth building together. And sometimes people say, well, we support housing, but we have concerns about being it here. And sometimes those concerns are valid, right? Maybe we have too much traffic congestion that we need to look at. But sometimes those concerns are about, well, we just don't want to disrupt what we have in this particular spot, right? But every plan requires some compromise, right? The benefit of planning is how we look at those things holistically, bring everybody involved to look at it. Yes, we want to hear concerns, right? We want to understand, because when we hear concerns and we work to address them together, to find compromise, to come up with the best solution, that's how we move forward. That's where we get to the community and the future we ultimately desire. If we build the foundation, we build Maui's future. And that's what's critically important to us. So our priorities remain the same, right? Our priorities at the Chamber are about supporting a resilient island for Maui County, for Maui's economy, for our community, right? And for our county and our state, right? We start here. We are a Maui Chamber of Commerce. Other islands also have chambers of commerce, and we also have ethnic chambers of commerce. And we work in partnership, again, to work with our entire community. And often, of course, a lot of that planning starts within government, right? So we strongly work on planning and solutions and advocacy in government and trying to connect our partners, because that means supporting our community, supporting small and large business recovery and growth, expanding our workforce housing, investing in critical infrastructure that's key to all of this, right? Improving disaster preparedness, helping businesses embrace innovation. And often when businesses embrace innovation, their workers get to embrace innovation. We have more people who are seeing new systems by embracing innovation that become better thought leaders and better help us in planning, because they learn more and see more and connect the dots on how to make new systems and new solutions come forward. But I also always say that Aloha has been that connection for us, that guiding star that leads us to doing this together. And we need to keep our aloha. Today, our economy, infrastructure, housing, broadband, and other technologies connect us. But aloha will always be what connects our people. And when we work and innovate together with aloha, Maui has an extraordinary opportunity to build a vibrant economy that supports our ohanas, our well-being, right? Our resiliency, so that we can thrive. And we want to do all that while being rooted in the values that define our island and our aloha. So let's work together on all of these things. Let's get involved in planning. Let's be forward thinking. Let's build the foundation and build Maui's future together. So I hope that resonates with you. We always love to have you connect with us. You can find us very easily. Maui Chamber of Commerce can be found at mauichamber.com. Look at what we're doing. Stay attuned. Our members get updates every Friday on the work that we're doing. And we're about to have a big summer celebration. coming up on July 10th. We'll be sharing more with our members and others. But we just wanted to share that with you today. So before we move into our exciting guest, I want to tell you a little bit about who's coming up. It is Sylvia Ho, and she is with Hawaiiusa Federal Credit Union. Sylvia is the Senior Business Relationship Officer. Did you hear that? Business Relationship Officer. I love that title because that's what she does. This is a senior level role that serves as a trusted advisor, delivering tailored financial solutions to small businesses. She plays a key role in driving member satisfaction, portfolio growth, and long-term engagement through leadership, mentorship, and strategic outreach. She is a leader for Maui's student-operated credit union. She's going to tell us a little bit about that. Imagine, student-operated credit unions. The acronym for that is SOCU. With her leadership skills, she opened 3 student-operated credit unions on Maui: EL Intermediate School, Baldwin High School, and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Maui. She is also a past chairwoman of the Maui Chamber of Commerce and served for many years, including 2 full terms, which then requires a hiatus, a 1-year hiatus. But she, after that 1-year hiatus, came back on our board, and we're thrilled to have her serve in that capacity. So with that, I want to welcome Sylvia Ho. Sylvia, are you online?
Good morning, Pam. Yes, I am.
Good morning. So great to have you with us.
So actually, I'm enjoying listening to you talk about to build the future of Maui together, with all the small businesses, owners, and everybody. I really love that because that's the whole idea of working together.
It really is. And that's something you really exemplify. Let's talk about that because that is what's key to your role in your company. Tell us a little bit about how you help do that.
Well, I would say, my company, Hawaiiusa Federal Credit Union, is very supportive of a lot of youth programs, especially on financial literacy. So we are the credit union. We actually, on Maui, we have 3. You just mentioned the SOCU, the SOCU, the Student Operator Credit Union. We have 3 on Maui. I'm so happy that we started with intermediate school. Everyone at the school principal and the teachers are very supportive of this program. We are going to celebrate the 5th year in 2027, January. So maybe, Pam, wow. you must show up, okay?
I would love to be there. If I'm on island, I'll be there. You just let me know.
Yes, I will. Definitely will. And then so this past year, we also start the Baldwin High School. And then the Boys and Girls Club is the first ever club-based SOCU. It was amazing, the leadership of Boys and Girls Club, Kelly Pearson and her staff. I have to tell you, it's so amazing and so energetic. It's like the whole village, they're all together to support it. And we also, apart from, usually we meet once a month at the Central Club. And then we also do some of the activities at Lahaina. So I was just so impressed that the staff and the parents and the students, they are so engaged with the SOCU in Lahaina. So that's why I make it very successful. And on the other hand, I must mention I must say a thank you to Southwest Airlines. They actually provided the airfare for the kids and the teachers to go to Oahu to visit the House Representative Tyson Miyake and also Troy Hashimoto's office. And they spent a good amount of time at our headquarters at College Walk to meet with the executive leadership team, and also so that the student will find out, being a SOCU student, to learn about financial literacy. And they are the advocate of financial literacy, of financial wellness, the new generation of youth. And then so to spend time in Honolulu at the headquarters, they know that the success of an organization, not just the front line, we think that, oh, if I work in the bank, like SoQ, they all about just processing the transaction. Actually, way more than that. The back office, we have human resources, we have strategists, we have marketing, accounting, so many departments to make this organization successful. So that's eye-opening for the student to see, in person, how does it work to make an organization successful. So, yeah.
Yeah, you are giving. I just think this is so fascinating, Sylvia, because I know you've been doing this work, and I keep hearing stories of how excited the youth are, and to get that breadth, right? To understand, you look at a business one way, and maybe you see the output of that business, right? For example, let's just take construction. Mm-hmm. You see the work of it, you see the house, but you mm-hmm. don't understand, all of the different types of people that it takes to work to build that house, all of the different strategies, all of the different, constantly looking at different materials. How do you market those houses? How do you get them to the right people? Mm-hmm. How do all of the systems that you're showing these youth and literally, today was the perfect day to have you on because we're talking about, right, infrastructure. We're talking about mm-hmm. what's needed and financial literacy for all of our goals, right? For understanding financial literacy is needed for all of that. And your company and you, I know that they're so supportive, but you as a strong champion are really doing amazing things. So how are you, I know you're successfully promoting this financial literacy. Tell us a little bit about that promotion and how you're reaching out and connecting everybody on this.
Actually, it's all about business networking.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. So when I go to some of the events, so I'm also very involved with Maui High School for the academies and so forth. So whenever I go and apart from, actually not just promoting financial literacy to students, I also do that in a lot of the workplaces as well, because they do need to understand how to start, because never too late to start a savings plan, right? And never too late to adjust your spending. So, including myself, I always got attracted, maybe I need to buy another bag or another pair of shoes. But then you ask yourself, do you really need it, right? Okay, so then make the decision. So now when I go to other events, and I was thinking, should I disclose it? Maybe I should say something about it. I have an opportunity to meet with other high school principals and elementary school principals. And then so when I was talking about this financial literacy program that Hawaiiusa established and we're doing, what happened is they are so excited about this. They said, okay, Sylvia, can you actually bring it to my school, not just to the students, so we'll do to the teachers and the parents. And so I said, of course, I would love to. So I am going to have 2 more SoQ on Maui. So by January, I'm going to have 5 student operator credit unions on Maui. That I'm so happy. But so Pam, I will send you the invitation to come join us for the grand opening for the 2 new schools. But I'm not able to. I don't want to say it yet, but with this, another details. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, this is all about networking. And then that leads into, Pam, all your activities, all the programs that you arranged, organized throughout the year, business after hours, and your the most recent one that you had, and then the SBA one. I was just so happy I'm able to connect with the executive level of the organization. So that means it just give me the opportunity to talk to them directly and really benefit what I want to do. So that's why I'm like, networking is really critical to all of these things, how I connect and how I get to know Southwest Ally Kelly. So I thought about networking because it's like, hey, when you see anyone, just talk to them, share with them what you want to do and what kind of help that you may need from them. That really works. And yes, I want to just really say thank you to you as well. The Chamber create all these opportunities for a lot of us on Maui.
Oh, thank you. You are a great and strong networker. So for anybody who knows Sylvia, they know that to be true. And thank you. And that's what we do. I mean, we a lot of people, if they're not familiar with the term networking, it's really just talking and sharing with people. But through networking, you build so many relationships, and it's the relationships that you build where people get to know and hear what you're doing. Like Sylvia, the excitement of these Sokius that are, now she's going to have 5. I mean, she's building at an extraordinary pace, and relationships help with all of that. But it also builds a stronger community, and that's one of our key programs is networking. But speaking of networking, because there's other things your company offers, so I wanted to take a moment because I know we're getting close to the end of time with the show. So I want to have you share a little bit about the other products and services that you offer.
Well, as a credit union, we are so-called not for profit, but we are still need to run a business successfully, and so because with that, we are actually just a commercial bank. We have commercial lending, commercial business products, as well as consumer products and so forth. But we really emphasize on promoting financial literacy. Like, for example, we have a campaign to all of our members, because our clients or customers are members, because they need to join the membership of the credit union so that they can.
Oh, Sylvia, are you there? Sylvia, Gary, can you hear me?
Hello, hold on.
Gary? Okay,
looks like she cut off. It dropped. We dropped the call.
Okay. Yeah, I just lost her. Okay, it's live, folks. It's live radio. and we'll see if we can get her back. But actually, we're really, unfortunately, at the end of the show now. So I just want to thank Sylvia Ho for being here today, for joining us and sharing that financial literacy and working to her and Hawaiiusa Federal Credit Union. They also do other amazing things. So thank you all for being here with us. And I just want you to know, at the Maui Chamber of Commerce, we're here for you. Please join in the effort. We need to get together. We need to work on planning together. We need to create the Maui we want to see. And we need to focus on infrastructure. When we build the foundation, we build Maui's future. And it's a better future for us and future generations.